Hello, welcome back to another episode of Narconon and Scientology Chronicles. I'm Lucas Catton, and I was thinking about something today and want to share an amusing story about when Tom Cruise was heckled at Narconon. He was in September of 2001. We were at Arrowhead, and it was just before I wound up becoming president of Narconon Arrowhead. I was an executive over the public divisions then, and but not yet president. And we had a meeting, and all of a sudden we had this like secret notification that that we were having a special visitor, and they did not tell the whole staff. In fact, only a certain number of staff knew, and none of the clients or students, is what they were called. None of the students knew. So it was supposed to be this like secret visit. They were going to try and keep it under wraps as much as possible, and it was this really weird thing. So then they told us who was actually coming. At least the executives knew, and a few key staff knew. And they had us positioned throughout the facility to where they were trying to sort of have like a route that they were going to tour. And Tom Cruise came with Penelope Cruz. He was with her at the time. This is, again, late September of 2001. And they had an entourage, and they had Tommy Davis from Celebrity Center International Church of Scientology. And I had never met, up till that point, I had not met either Cruz nor Tommy Davis. And so I shared in my first book, I shared how where I was stationed on the tour, and as part of like quasi-security slash, helping hand staff member, I first came face to face with Tommy Davis, and I thought he was Tom Cruise at first because they actually look similar, like they have similar features and height and build and that kind of stuff. And then Cruise was behind him though, like as they were touring through, and then Penelope Cruz and the other people. So as we're going through this tour, some of the staff were then trying to distract the students that were there. And they sent them all outside onto this huge back patio that we had there, this big triangle patio that overlooked the lake. And it was evening. It was later in the evening. And so it was dark by then, or getting dark. And like everybody knew something was up, but nobody knew who exactly was there. And then word started to get around. Like people were whispering, or some of the staff told some other staff, and then some of the staff then told students, or maybe the trainees told the students, and then word got out eventually. So I'm standing upstairs, and if you've ever seen pictures of Arrowhead, the main part, sort of like the main lobby or atrium, was this huge like kind of 3-story thing. It was only 2 stories high, but it was really tall ceiling, and it had a huge fireplace, like a sunken area, and then this fireplace was massive, and then huge windows that overlooked, and then there was like these catwalk type bridges that connected the 2 sides, and then the president's office was upstairs on this mezzanine type level as well. And so there's a big echo in that room when voices get raised, and we're standing there, and all of a sudden, as word got out, or he must have been spotted along the way, all of a sudden the student yells out, "You can't handle the truth!" And I remember being so embarrassed, and he got in trouble, and everybody was snickering and laughing and that kind of stuff, because obviously by then everybody knew that Tom Cruise was there. He was in the building, things were buzzing. People were then trying to steal looks as they were in the president's office and talking, because it was open but not real visible because it was up high, and people were again stealing some looks, and I think a couple of people got to say hi, that kind of thing. But it was really funny. Now, oddly enough, many years later, now 20 years later, I'm actually Facebook friends with the guy who yelled, "You can't handle the truth," which I thought was kind of hilarious, because I remember being so furious and so embarrassed that somebody would yell that during the thing. And during this time, there was also a famous time that made national headlines, because his airplane accidentally almost landed on the wrong airstrip. McAlester, Oklahoma, has a small airport, a regional kind of commuter type airport called McAlester Regional Airport. And just next to that, or just south of that, is the McAlester Army Ammunition Plant. And this is where not too, around the same time, this is where, I don't know if you remember hearing the shock and awe campaign, the bombs that were dropped in Iraq. And they were, many of them were coming from McAlester Army Ammunition Plant. And as you lived in the area there, you hear them detonating old artillery, old bombs, like underground, as that's their whole job is to make bombs, store bombs, and like destroy bombs. Well, so this was right after September 11th, mind you. It was only like 2 weeks after then. And his airplane flew over McAlester Army Ammunition Plant and started to lower its landing gear. And somebody called the FBI and reported that they saw something fall out of the airplane. Like they thought the airplane was dropping something onto the ammunition plant. And they realized it was not the right airstrip, flew over to McAlester Regional Airport and landed. Well, during that whole time, the FBI and maybe some other federal agencies as well wound up then having to contact Narconon Arrowhead and confirm whose plane it was and why he was there and what was going on, and to make sure that there was actually no threat because it was this big thing. So you can see the article up on the Daily Oklahoman. It's up online still. There's some other references to it online. And I remember Jay Leno in the Tonight Show even mentioned something about that, I think the next night or at least some point during that week. He was like, yeah, Tom Cruise's airplane was spotted over McAlester. They thought he dropped some bombs. And thankfully it wasn't any of that. But that was my little story. It was kind of funny, and it certainly seems a little odd, or in a great fortuitous way, that I happen to be friends with the guy who heckled Tom Cruise at Narconon Arrowhead 20 years ago. There you go. Until next time, I'm Lucas Cadden. Take care.